What up? It's Chris Roscoe. This is Operation Moksha. Don't ask me what's up with my hair because I don't know. And today we're talking about shadow work. Oh, that was too high. Today we're talking about shadow work. The reason we're talking about shadow work is because I got really excited about finding out that people knew what this word meant, that I started using it indiscriminately and realized that a lot of people don't. So a friend of mine reached out to me and said, what the fuck are you talking about? Seems cool, but I don't understand it. So could you maybe do a thing and tell people what this is? So that's what I'm doing. Now, shadow work is essentially the process of reclaiming all the parts of yourself that you've rejected. Because whenever you create ideas or beliefs or convictions or goals or whatever, the possibility of its opposite is immediately created in your mind. So like when I say I'm going to be a full-time coach and I'm going to get lots of clients and I'm going to change the world and everyone's going to be happy and I'm going to make an amount of money that feels good for me and it's going to be a symbiotic experience and everyone's going to benefit, it's going to be great. As soon as I say that, the possibility of that not happening enters my mind. All the things that could get in the way of that happening suddenly are created in some pocket of my brain. And my mental health to a certain degree and my chances of actually achieving that goal are highly dependent on how well I maintain relationships with the opposite things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I mean. So I say, hypothetically, this isn't necessarily my goal, I'm just making this up. Let's say I want 10 clients in the next month. Let's say that's what I want. And my brain goes, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You can't do that. You can't handle 10 clients in a month. Like, you're not even blah, blah, blah. You can't even do blah, 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 blah. You're not worthy of blah, whatever. Like, all that's going to happen. And if I just try to shove that aside and fight against it, be like, fuck you, me. I'm gonna beat you with sheer force of my brain against my own brain. If that's what I decided to do, then I would have created a more intense conflict. Because this part of me that's like, but bro, you're not good enough for these things. And it's trying to watch out for me. It's just trying to help out. And it's like, dude, you didn't think about this. And you're not prepared for this. And you're undereducated about this. And you don't, blah, blah, blah. There's all these potentially really valuable warnings that I'm not listening to. And because human beings absolutely fucking hate to be held down and silenced or oppressed for any reason whatsoever. Even if they deserve it, they fucking hate it. And if you hold somebody down long enough with enough force, or any part of yourself, if you hold any part of yourself down long enough with enough force, you can bet that that person or that part of yourself will eventually rise up and fight back, and it'll be likely when you're too tired to do anything about it, and they will win and they will crush you. That's why that quote, die the hero or live long enough to be the villain, or see yourself become the villain. That's why that's a thing. It's because of your shadow. Where if you're a hero and you fight for good, then evil has to fight harder because people hate being oppressed and people hate being repressed, and you hate being oppressed and repressed and shoved down and put into a corner and all that crap. You hate that just as much. And so even if you say, I'm going to be good, all the parts of you that are either afraid to be good or they're tired of being good because you don't get anything out of it and blah, 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 they're going to fight back, and you're going to have this conflict where you have to fight yourself, and then you have to fight yourself fighting yourself, and then eventually you run out of energy, and then the thing that's been fighting you this whole time wins, and it takes over and it eats you. And I know this firsthand because it's happened to me, and it's the worst experience of my entire life, and I really don't want anyone else to have to experience that. It was awful. I didn't think I was going to make it through it. I did, though, so we're good. So that's what happens, is because our shadow is created out of good intent. You know, we choose convictions because we think they're the best thing for us and the world around us, and we choose our beliefs and our values and all these different things out of trying to be moral and good and try to do what we think the world needs. And these are all great things, like, good for us. That fucking kicks ass. But it's the polarity and the conflict and the inability to rise above that creates a lot of problems. Because another thing about it is, like, let's say your view of morality is like skewed, right? Like classic split in today's world is one side says it's better to take care of myself and be self-sustaining and make sure that I'm okay because I kick ass and I need to make sure that I'm okay. Because in order for me to even think about taking care of other people, I need to first take care of myself. And then there's this other side that says, like, no, fuck all that. We need to take care of other people first because that's how you have a good life. That's how you have a good world. If we had a whole world of people that cared more about each other than we did about ourselves, then, we'd have peace on earth and blah, blah, blah. And both are correct. Both are moral. Both are ethical. Both are good. Both are healthy. Both are essential even to a balanced and more or less good worldview. And if you live with one without the other, you're going to have problems. And so you need to integrate the two. But here's what happens is people get divided on emotional lines. Like a person who thinks that it's more important to take care of themselves than it is to take care of anyone else is probably that way because they're fucking terrified of something. They're probably fucking terrified that if I don't take care of myself, then the whole world is going to fall apart. And I need to make sure that if the whole world falls apart, that I'm okay. And so they need to not show weakness. They need to not be distracted. They need to not be bothered by this other side of morality because they're aware of how terrible the world can be and how quickly things can just go to shit. And they need to make sure that them and their family are okay first, which is good. We do want to do that. We want to make sure our families and our communities and ourselves are okay. That's why you put the air mask on yourself before you put it on the kid and the thing. Because cup runneth over. you have to be on full in order to give. That's just the way it is. Like if you're on empty and you're giving, then you're not giving from a healthy place, and you're probably not giving something worth having, to be completely honest. And so you need to be self-sourced and self-sustained in order to truly give to other people in a way that's going to make a difference. So that's morality 1. There's actually 5 different versions of morality, but I'm going to kind of just jimmy them all in there at once. So, and then you have the other one that says you need to take care of other people first, which is great. However, if you take care of other people to the point that you're not taking care of yourself because, oh wait, hold on, I need to back up. Sometimes, more often than not, those people are stuck on that side of the fence, the people who think they need to take care of other people before they take care of themselves. A lot of times they're stuck on the fence because they see this thing over here is selfish and bad and greedy and everything that's wrong with the world and blah, 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 blah. And so they push it away because there's got mad polarity. It's like, if I'm that, then I'm bad. And these people over here are like, but if I'm that, then I'm weak and dumb and don't have boundaries and I'm not strong. And this is how we can both be right, but be so polarized by our emotions and by our experiences that we can't see that the other person's right and we're right at the same time, because we've chosen our beliefs out of fear of either having bad things happening to us or being a bad person or whatever it is. We've made these rash judgments and shoved an entire half of our personality, an entire half of our morals and our judgments and the information that we could use to make decisions and build relationships and be creative and help the world and do all kinds of cool shit. We've taken half the available information and we've just decided to fucking shove it away somewhere. Like, that's why you want to reclaim it. And also, when you reclaim it, on top of getting all the benefits of being able to see the world from a balanced perspective, you also rid yourself of that conflict that we talked about earlier. There's no good and bad. There's no like, this is where I stand and these parts of me aren't welcome for some reason, even though they live in my body and in my head and I'm never going to get rid of them. You finally get to say like, wow, this is just all of me. I think this stuff and this has its pros and cons, and I think this stuff and this has its pros and cons. And so I'm going to balance the two as best I can, and I'm going to make balanced decisions and healthy decisions based on what I think is good for the world. So great. That's a general outline of what shadow work is. It's the process of going back and reclaiming all the things that we rejected because when we chose our beliefs and we chose our values and we chose our desires and a lot of that shit, we were too young to know what the fuck we were doing or even to know that there would be long-term implications of these choices in the first place. Because your personality is more or less formed by the time you're like between 5 and 7, like maybe a little older, but between 5 and 7 is generally when your personality is cemented. And so you've just, by that time, you've decided who the good guys are. You've decided who the bad guys are. You've decided which one you are. You've decided if you're good or bad. You've decided whether it's more important to take care of other people, whether it's more important to take care of yourself. You've made a lot of decisions by age 7 that are going to likely be with you for life if you don't do something about it. And like we said, there's no way to know that there were going to be long-term implications of that. There's no way to know that at 5, you trying to figure out what good is versus what bad is and try to do the right thing was going to polarize you and make it so that you couldn't even see the value in half of reality, and that you were going to treat other people that embodied that like shit, because that's another part of this. Is anybody that reminds you of a part of yourself you don't like, you treat the same way that you treat the part of yourself that they remind you of. Where it's like this is a perfect example. So you get people on like the political left, right? And they're all about altruism and love and equality and all that shit. But they're not particularly industrious. And this is all, like, you can look up clinical trials on this. I'm not a psychologist or a psychoanalyst or any of that, but I listen to people who are. And this is what they tell me, that people on the Republican conservative side, they work harder. They do more. They want to earn more. They want to get paid for what they put in. People over here want equality. That's not really rocket science. It's just different forms of morality, and it's fairly obvious. But this is a bad thing in certain ways, because when you think that the industrious people that want to work hard and be compensated for the amount of work that they put in, when you think that type of shit is selfish, maybe you're going to treat people who do that as if they're selfish. Because you wouldn't let yourself do it because you think it's selfish. So when that desire comes up, you shove it down and you're like, no, that's bad. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. So when you meet a person who does that, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to react the only way you know how to react, which is shove it down and be like, no, don't be selfish. Don't be bad. And they're over here being like, what's your problem? Like, don't be such a weirdo. Like, work hard and enjoy your life, and you're in control of all this shit. And if we could just listen to each other, it'd be really helpful. So, having a non-integrated shadow creates tension and conflict, which creates psychological trauma, or not trauma, but psychological pain and discomfort. And it causes you to spend a lot of your resources fighting yourself, which is a dumb thing to do in the first place. But it's like you're fighting yourself, which is a dumb thing to be doing. And then you have to devote more and more time and energy and fierceness and commitment to fighting yourself, which is even dumber. And keeps making your life worse and worse until the thing finally swallows you whole like venom and eats you. And I've been there, and it sucks. Don't do it. But then you also treat other people like crap, and you can't see the inherent value and the morality and the validity behind what people are saying, because they think differently than you, and you've already rejected what they have to say before you even knew the person existed. And so there's a lot of things that having a non-integrated shadow makes worse. It makes your psychological experience worse. It makes your relationships worse. It makes your ability to make decisions worse. It creates the kind of political polarity that we're seeing in the world, which is obviously bad. It creates these social issues where nobody's fucking listening to each other. And so the way to do it is to reclaim those things. And I'm not going to talk about how to do that on this video. I'm going to talk about how to do that later. But I wanted to give you a broad overview of what shadow work essentially is, so that you could know what I'm talking about. Because I want you to be whole. I want you to be happy. And I want you to be able to get along with people. Like, Jesus fuck. Like, I can talk to my conservative friends and be like, wow, you care about these things and these and these things. And I align with you on those things, but I don't with these things. And I go talk to my liberal friends and I'm like, wow, these are really cool. You think about this. And then we can all sharpen our swords together and try to find collective truth, and maybe even like serve our own purposes. Like, I'm the middle guy. That's the service I get to give. And maybe not everyone's going to get to be middle people, but you can be a spokesperson for the right, and you can be a spokesperson for the left, and we can meet in the middle and see like what the best combination of all these ideas are. And that's really what I fucking want. And when you can do that with yourself, when you can take these opposing ideas in yourself and communicate them to each other and integrate them, the next thing you know, you've got internal harmony and your life makes sense and you feel good about yourself and you're whole and you're thinking clearly, and god damn it, is it beautiful. Okay. I'm trying to keep this under 15 minutes. I think I've said everything I needed to say. If you have any questions, let me know. If I left anything out, please tell me. I fucking love you, and I'll see you next time.